all I know is that the right, and I've been on the right since before Ben was born, is acting like the left in such an amazingly precise way that I'm like, what the hell is going on? Mm-hmm. And I tell you this, I'm against that. I was against it when the left did it. I'm against censorship. I'm against identity politics, no matter who does it.
Tucker Carlson just blasted pro-Israel Zionists like Ben Shapiro for behaving exactly like the woke left in their reactions to him daring to platform and having interviews with no-no people. This is in the context of the Zionist war to try to cancel Tucker, which I'm happy to say is failing spectacularly. So let's watch. Please like the video and subscribe to the channel.
Let's talk just for 1 minute about Ben Shapiro, because he too is under threat. I know you both very well, and I also really care about Ben. And you cannot see Ben without 6 armed guards. He said on the Daily Wire not long ago, and I think it was a great line. He said, if they kill Matt Walsh, God forbid, everybody will know who did it. Some crazed leftist. He said, if they kill me, it'll be like an Agatha Christie novel, like a mystery, where they won't know. Could be alt-right, could be far left. Like, he's got a lot of haters. And so there was this one brief shining moment after Charlie died where you guys kind of buried the hatchet and you...
I called him. I called him and Mark Levin, who I know well. He's obviously a lunatic, but he's a person. And I didn't want to fight. Well, he obviously is, but I didn't want to fight with him at all. And I said to both of them, I called them the day after or 2 days after Charlie was killed from my backyard because I was really thinking about it and praying about it. And I was like, we agree on a lot, actually. And I'm not that interested in the topic of Israel. I'd be so glad never to hear the name again. I mean, I would be so glad. I would never mention it again. I'm not for more forever wars. Let's just stop that pressure, and I'll never mention it again. I'll never think about it again. You obviously care about it much more than I do. That's fine. But take that off the table, and we agree on a lot. So let's, not attack each other. And they didn't abide by those terms, but that's fine. They were under no
Mark
obligation.
Levin was literally attacking you within days of that. I remember when you had that conversation.
I know.
We talked about
fine.
it. Within days.
That's fine. I don't care what
He's
Mark...
also out there calling me an anti-Semite. I don't even know what... I know at least what the accusations against you are. I have no idea what I did.
Here's what you did, Megan. You dared to have people like Tucker on your show because that's bad enough in many of these Zionist eyes to call you an anti-Semite. They'll call anyone an anti-Semite. They called Norm Finkelstein an anti-Semite. That's your crime. And by the way, having an interview with Marjorie Taylor Greene, that's enough for these people to attack you, to put crosshairs upon you. And it's real rich for, a neocon Zionist like Ben Shapiro to have such fear for his life, surround himself with armed guards that he's obviously paying to do that, when he's the one likening Tucker Carlson to being, this leader of this new anti-Semitic movement that he talked about on an interview with Jake Tapper, of all people, on CNN, and in his own diatribe on his channel. Yeah, that's really rich when you're saying that about these people, putting an obvious target on their back. Like, if they really are leading an anti-Semitic movement, they're the next, Hitler youth organizer, as Randy Fine said, that he's the most dangerous anti-Semite in America, as Randy Fine also said. Well, you're putting a target on his back. If you convince people of that, what does that say? I think it's intentional. So it's real rich for Ben Shapiro to fear for his safety when he's putting others in danger with that kind of absurd rhetoric. Let's just hope no one clings to believing Ben Shapiro and his outright lies on that.
Is anyone thinking through the damage this is doing, like downstream? I don't think that Levin, again, there are things that Levin says that I agree with completely.
Okay,
I don't hate Mark Levin,
enough about him, because he's truly, Mark Levin, you're like, oh, Mark Levin's angry again. What a shock. But is there any way that you and Ben Shapiro can actually find your way to détente?
I'm not against Ben Shapiro. He did like a 40-minute thing yesterday calling me dangerous and all this stuff. It's like, I didn't watch it because why? But I got a lot of texts about it, and it's like, I don't think Ben Shapiro is driving a lot of this stuff. I don't consider him like the world's greatest force for evil. I don't feel that way at all. I don't actually think about him ever. So I'm not attacking him. I saw him at Charlie's memorial service backstage. It was totally nice, and he looked a little uncomfortable, but I wasn't uncomfortable. I'm like a lunatic. I was like prattling on and telling obscene jokes and all this stuff, and he was totally nice. A little appalled, but nice. And so I don't want to have a war with Ben Shapiro. I don't know.
It's just, this is why Tucker Carlson's a better man than me, right? because he's much more forgiving than I would be to this person that's rattling off about how you're so dangerous. He's a public figure, man. Other people are going to watch that and listen to it and maybe be won over. The small niche of 0.00001% of people might cling on to that and might target Tucker actually believing that. So if Tucker can forgive that, man, I mean, that's pretty impressive, because I don't know if I could. Because if they tried to make amends and they already violated their kind of, gentleman's agreement not to attack each other against Tucker, it'd be even harder for me to forgive the next time. Of course, there's a lesson for this in terms of Christianity. If you're a Christian, you believe that if you believe someone else is being genuine, you have to forgive them, just like God forgave us. We're all sinners, right? But at the same time, it becomes harder and harder. And answer me this, where are the Zionist voices out there that are telling, Ben Shapiro, who I do think is driving a lot of it, and Randy Fine, and Mark Levin, hey guys, maybe this strategy of just yelling anti-Semite, Jew hatred as loud as we can isn't working. Maybe we need to actually try to counter the arguments and have arguments be our leading indicator when we're failing so spectacularly at not, keeping this Zionist stranglehold over the political system and the culture, I should say. The culture. Where are those Zionists? I don't see them. I don't see those temperate voices that are saying, guys, this is a stupid strategy. If there are, let me know. I'm open to it. I just don't see that. I don't see those being the prevailing voices. I see the Levins and Shapiros and the nonsense coming out of the Randy Fine camp.
Does he really think that me doing an interview in which I explained that anti-Semitism is wrong to one of the lead purveyors of anti-Semitism, that somehow makes me a Nazi? What is the argument here?
I'm going to ask him tomorrow night.
No, but I don't even understand what the argument is. All I know is that the right, and I've been on the right since before Ben was born, is acting like the left in such an amazingly precise way that I'm like, what the hell is going on? Mm-hmm. And I tell you this, I'm against that. I was against it when the left did it. I'm against censorship. I'm against identity politics, no matter who does it, period. Because that violates my principles, and I'll never be on board with that. I don't care if my own kids run for office. If they engage in censorship and identity politics, I'm out. If it's all about their tribe, if this is about whose ever tribe, we're done. This has to be about our common Americanness. We're all American citizens, and if our politics is not about that, it can't continue, period.
Amen. I think you can agree with that if you're right, left, center, a radical socialist, a radical right-leaning libertarian like me, whoever you are, you should be able to rally behind that. That's just the basic American principle, right? And I agree with Tucker on this completely. And I want to be clear here because I know I have left-wing dissidents that like this channel. And I love them too. I think they're right on so many issues. We have some disagreements, that's fine. But when Tucker's talking about the left, he's not talking about the dissident leftists that always thought wokeness was idiotic to begin with. I mean, that always clearly recognized that that was just, a regime scheme to pit people against each other that otherwise would align on really important stuff like financial corruption and corporate welfare and the wars and being against those things. He's talking about the liberal establishment in lashing out against conservatives for daring to say stuff like there isn't 52 genders or, men can't get pregnant. Or, stuff like that. The stuff that pitted us against each other in the culture war is the strategy that the left once used in terms of woke leftists, not real dissident leftists, against conservatives in the same way that is what the Zionist neocons like Ben Shapiro are using against Tucker Carlson. On CNN with Jake Tapper, of all places. It doesn't escape the irony of that, of going on Jake Tapper's show. Just that alone, that mere fact that he went on Jake Tapper's show is reason enough to question your motives. If you're really, a right-winger, dogging on these people so many times for fleecing the American public about Biden being sharp as a tack and then writing a book about, hey, I uncovered this special journalism. They were hiding the fact that Biden wasn't sharp as a tack when you were one of the purveyors of that exact narrative. You can just see this. It's so obvious and it's so plain. The one thing I'll push back on Tucker here is when he said, Ben should be happy that I had a discussion pushing back against anti-Semitism with one of the leading purveyors of it. Now, if Ben really does think that Nick Fuentes is one of the leading purveyors of anti-Semitism, he should be extremely happy about that. And that is what happened. I think if Ben actually watched this, he's being twisted and duplicitous and dishonest, because that is what Tucker Carlson did. And he did it on the basis of his Christian faith. Now, I will also say, what does that even mean if you're saying that Nick Fuentes is one of the leading purveyors of anti-Semitism? If you're asking me what that term even means, it means a belief that, Jews are inferior to other peoples. And that's not what Nick believes, actually. Actually, it's not, and they fleshed that out in this very interview. In the interview, he does, and by the way, I disagree with his viewpoint on this. He does say, I believe that at the root of the problem with Zionism and the neocons and all the wars is Judaism. But he also admitted, he doesn't think all the Jews are the problem, that all individual Jews are culpable for these evils. No, he completely disavowed that belief line. And that's never mentioned, of course. So if you're looking at anti-Semitism as something other than that, maybe so. But in my mind, if you believe that, anti-Semitism is just the simple fact that it's a belief that Jews are inferior to other people, Nick doesn't believe that, actually. Actually, that probably, put a lot of light bulbs off in people's heads seeing him say that, where the mainstream has been so dishonest in portraying what he believes in the past. And maybe he said some things to conflict with that in the past. That could be true. I say a lot of things on this channel that certainly conflict with what I said years ago, especially in my neocon phase in 2003. And that's far more unforgivable, in my mind, supporting murderous acts than supporting impure thoughts where there is no violence connected to it. So I have to atone for my past too. Let's hope everyone does. Let's hope that's the theme of the entire dissident movement, that we correct the evils of our past, that we get better, that we do it by discussing these issues rather than trying to demonize people and, characterize them as anti-Semites. It just doesn't seem to be working, even if that's what you truly want to do. So like I said, tell me, is there any Zionist voice that says, hey, this strategy Levin and Shapiro and Fine that you're using is terrible? And if so, let me know. But what do you guys think? Is the recent pro-Israel Zionist right acting indistinguishable from the liberal woke establishment as we saw it from the early 2010s forward? Let me know down below. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel, also subscribe to Megyn Kelly. Don't agree with Megan either on lots of stuff, but this was a great interview. I think it's a great segment that's really kind of awe-inspiring and sheds a lot of light on what's going on in the GOP and the conservative Inc. right now. Also, if you like this video, please consider becoming a YouTube member. You can do that by clicking the join button below. And if you do that, I'll give you access to all my videos before they go live to the general public on YouTube. Also, if you want a free copy of my first book, Compact of the Republic, click the link in the description below. It'll shoot you to a site, plug in your email, I'll send it right to you in PDF form. No obligation, no cost, just free on me. Thanks for your support. And until I see you guys next time, no more war, no more debt, no more inflation, and no more empire. Peace out, guys. Catch you in the next one.